Thank you, Tony. Poštovane dame I gospodo, drage kolege, dragi profesori, dragi studenti, dobar dan. First of all, as Tony has said, as the incoming head of the EU delegation in Serbia, Sjaši Murtada is Sjaši Kurta, I think you say in Serbian. I should like to congratulate the Faculty of Philology of the university and UNIC on marking the European Day of Languages once again in such a creative way. Our languages are so much part of our rich cultural diversity. Our literature in those languages is also very much our shared heritage and joy. But our languages, I think, also provide ever-developing, ever-changing scope for new forms of expression and experimentation. I was reminded recently of this at an event to celebrate literary works, prose, poetry, even cartoon strips, called My English Book. Hundreds of children submitted from all over Serbia submitted their creative work. The results were, quite frankly, spectacular. English, this reminded me, is just as much their language as it is, for example, mine. I have too been making attempts, as some may have noticed, to learn Serbian. Polako o tom potom natenane. Your language is so rich in phrase and idiom, reflecting an equally rich, but also, of course, very turbulent history. One aspect I have found particularly fascinating since my arrival in Serbia is your amazing phenomenon known as Šatrovački. I think a sort of language within a language, allegedly developed by criminal elements to confuse the police, but now used apparently by, you can tell me, by students to confuse foreigners, and perhaps, dare I say it, also professors. Šatrovački, as you know, is based mainly, but not exclusively, on the idea of permutation of syllables. So you end up, for example, with these wonderful words like tenkre, vopi, kuntai, diau, dbalfu, vandu, even navdu, or all of this is just sense non. It has cousins elsewhere. In France, for example, you have verlan, which is transferred from l'envers. This gives, for example, this results, for example, in a woman being a meuf, a policeman being a keuf. In Britain, there is also, amongst the travelling population of Irish origin, a language, a dialect called shelter, where you have the word which derives from Irish, not English, where the word, for example, for sun, which is mac in Irish, becomes cam. In Argentina, in Buenos Aires anyway, a cafe becomes a feca, which doesn't sound very nice, does it? In all cases, I think the idea is to emphasize some sort of solidarity of a group and members of a group, and to sow confusion for outsiders. Obvious examples of Šatrovački bring this out. Zipa tebra, riamu, pazi brate muria, or munze konza tebra, zemun zakon brate. Or maybe something for the navijači. Tebra čune da ramik dbalfu. I won't translate that into Serbian. So there's lots of potential. Ultimately, I'm sure that they will establish here at the university a chair of Shatrovatsky. English also has idiomatic expressions which outsiders find very puzzling. I spoke to a journalist yesterday. He bowled me a fast ball, actually a googly. I found myself batting on a pretty sticky wicket. In the end, however, I managed to find an answer which stumped him completely. In fact, it hit him for 6. Dealing with journalists, you always need something in your back pocket, just as a sort of long stop. Otherwise, you'll get caught out several times over before close of play. As you may have detected, a familiarity with cricket can be an asset, at least when it comes to understanding and deciphering British English. Otherwise, as the Austrians, I believe, say, you'll end up standing in the forest or only understanding railway station. Ich stehe vollkommen im Wald und verstehe nur Bahnhof. Finally, it only remains for me to thank you for your kind attention, wish you all the best for today's events, or as some might say, simply, Lachva na Żnipa. Thank you.